Imaging finding a rare coin so rare it could pay off your house today, we're diving into 10 of the most valuable US coins ever found. Real coins worth hundreds and even millions of dollars or more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next rare find. Let's start this.
Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a simple penny, and realizing that this tiny copper-colored coin could be the key to unlocking serious money. Most people ignore pennies. They toss them in jars, leave them in car cup holders, or hand them over without a second thought. But what if one of those ordinary-looking coins was actually worth thousands of dollars? Today we're talking about the United States of America 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. A coin that millions of Americans have seen, but very few truly understand. And if you're between 30 and 65, holding on to old change, inherited coin jars, or forgotten piggy banks, this is exactly the kind of coin you need to be checking right now. The 1987 Lincoln cent belongs to the long-running Lincoln Penny series that began in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. The design we see on the front was created by Victor David Brenner, featuring the dignified profile of Abraham Lincoln. On the reverse of the 1987 penny, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959 and used until 2008. When you look at a 1987 Lincoln penny, one of the first things you'll notice is the mint mark, or the lack of one. If your coin has no mint mark under the date, that means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1987, Philadelphia struck billions of pennies. So at first glance, that might make this coin seem completely common, and in most cases, it is, but in the world of coin collecting, value isn't always about age. It's about condition. It's about rarity in top grades. And most importantly, it's about errors and varieties. Let's break this down carefully, because this is where opportunity lives. The 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln cent was made primarily of copper-plated zinc. By that time, the U.S. Mint had already switched from solid copper to a zinc core with a thin copper coating, a change that began in 1982. These coins weigh about 2.5 grams. If you have a scale at home, this is something you can check now, because billions were made. Circulated examples are usually worth just 1 cent. Even in lightly circulated condition, they're typically only worth a few cents, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for the coins that were never spent. The coins that were set aside. The coins that survived in pristine, uncirculated condition for nearly 4 decades. In the coin world, condition is graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS60 is uncirculated but may have marks and dull luster. A coin graded MS65 is considered gem quality. But once you start getting into MS67, MS68 territory, you are talking about extreme rarity, and here's the powerful truth. While millions of 1987 pennies were made, almost none survived in near-perfect condition. Think about it. Pennies are handled roughly. They're thrown into cash drawers. They're scraped against other coins. They're stored in rolls where they rub against each other. Finding a 1987 no-mint mark penny with blazing red luster, sharp details, no spots, and virtually no marks is incredibly difficult. Collectors pay for perfection. An ordinary 1987 penny in circulated condition might buy you nothing more than a stick of gum. But a high-grade, certified example graded at the very top of the scale can command serious money at auction. Now let's talk about errors. Because sometimes, that's where the magic really happens. When coins are struck at the mint, the process is fast and mechanical. Mistakes happen. And when they do, collectors get excited. For the 1987 no-mint mark penny, some known error types include off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned. There are also examples of double strikes, where the coin was struck twice. Occasionally, you may find a coin with a clipped planchet, meaning a portion of the coin is missing because of a metal cutting error. Another variety to watch for is doubling. While major double dies are not widely known for 1987, minor doubling on letters or numbers can sometimes be found. Use a magnifying glass and look carefully at the date and the word Liberty. If you see clear separation or doubling lines, that could increase value. Also check the surface closely. Because these coins are copper-plated zinc, sometimes the plating can blister or peel. Most plating issues actually reduce value, but dramatic and unusual errors can attract collector interest. Now here's something that separates casual coin holders from serious profit seekers: certification. That if you believe you have a nearly perfect 1987 no-mint mark penny, you should consider having it graded by a major third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC. Professional grading not only authenticates the coin but assigns it a grade that collectors trust, and trust equals money. When buyers see a coin sealed in a certified holder with a top-tier grade, they are willing to compete for it at auction. That competition drives prices higher. Auction records tell the real story. While most 1987 pennies are common, top-graded red examples in elite condition have shocked sellers with impressive results. These coins are rare not because they were scarce when made, but because almost none survived in flawless condition. This is what I want you to understand deeply: modern coins can be sleepers. Just because something is from the 1980s doesn't mean it can't be valuable. We are now nearly 40 years removed from 1987. Time has quietly done its work. Most of these coins have been worn down, damaged, or lost. The few that remain in extraordinary condition are becoming harder to find every year, and here's the opportunity for you. If you have old rolls of pennies stored away, maybe from a parent or grandparent, if you have original bank-wrapped rolls from the late 1980s, if you've saved coins in mint sets, now is the time to examine them carefully. Look for brilliant red color. Look for sharp Lincoln details, especially in the hair and beard. Look at the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse and check for crisp columns and clean steps. Rotate the coin under light and see if the luster shines evenly across the surface. Even tiny contact marks can mean the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and one worth thousands. And remember, never clean your coin. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Collectors want originality. They want untouched surfaces. Even a soft wipe can leave hairline scratches that lower the grade. The coin market rewards patience, knowledge, and attention to detail. Many people search for rare silver dollars and gold coins, ignoring the humble penny. But sometimes, the biggest surprises come from the smallest denominations. The 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny proves that condition rarity is real. That everyday coins can transform into high-value collectibles. That overlooked pieces of pocket change can turn into serious financial opportunities. Imagine pulling a penny from a forgotten jar and discovering it's a top-grade specimen. Imagine sending it for grading. Imagine watching it cross the auction block as bidders compete. That's not fantasy. That's the coin market. That if you're serious about building wealth from coins, you must train your eye. Study grading standards. Compare your coin to certified examples online. Invest in a good magnifier. Consider buying a digital scale. Knowledge multiplies value, and don't underestimate modern coins. The generation that once spent these in arcades and grocery stores is now older. Many high-grade coins have already been locked into collections. Supply at the top is thin. The 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is not about age. It's about excellence. It's about preservation. It's about the difference between average and extraordinary. Some collectors have paid astonishing sums for the finest known examples. And when you hear the number, it changes how you see every penny in your possession, because the maximum recorded price for a superb, top-graded red example of the 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny has reached $46,733. So the next time you see a penny, don't dismiss it. Examine it. Respect it. Because hidden among the ordinary may be the extraordinary. Because hidden among millions of ordinary cents could be a small treasure from the year 1964, a coin that many people overlook, yet serious collectors quietly search for every single day. We're talking about the 1964 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a humble coin with a powerful story. The 1964 penny was struck at the legendary United States Mint facility in Denver. The small D mint mark just below the date represents the Denver Mint, one of the most historic coin-producing facilities in America. In 1964, the nation was facing a coin shortage. Demand for small change was exploding as vending machines, supermarkets, and everyday commerce relied heavily on coins. The mint responded by producing massive quantities of cents. In fact, billions of 1964 pennies were struck in Denver alone. At first glance, that sounds like terrible news for collectors. High mintage usually means low value. But here's where things become interesting, because in coin collecting, condition is king. The 1964 D Lincoln cent features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design created by Victor David Brenner. This design first appeared in 1909 and had already become one of the most recognizable coin images in American history. On the reverse in 1964, you'll find the classic wheat ears design had already been retired in 1958, so the 1964 penny carries the Lincoln Memorial reverse. That memorial design would continue until 2008, becoming a familiar sight in American pockets. Most 1964 D pennies are worth only a few cents above face value. But the coins that make collectors sit up and pay attention are those preserved in exceptional, nearly flawless condition, especially uncirculated examples with blazing original red luster. When experts grade coins, they use a numerical system known as the Sheldon scale, ranging from 1 to 70. Coins graded in the mid-60s are considered gem mint state. But when a 1964 D penny reaches grades like MS 66 or higher, particularly with full original red color, its value can begin climbing rapidly. Why? Because despite the enormous number minted, very few survived in pristine condition. Most were tossed into circulation, jingled in pockets, dropped into cash registers, or stored in jars where moisture and friction slowly dulled their surfaces. Finding a sharply struck, mark-free, fully red 1964 D cent today is much harder than most people imagine. There's another layer to the story. During the early 1960s, hoarding was widespread. People feared rising silver prices and began stockpiling coins. Although pennies were not made of silver, the overall coin shortage affected all denominations. Production pressure sometimes led to small striking variations and minor errors. Collectors carefully inspect 1964 D pennies for strong strike quality, clean fields, minimal contact marks, and vibrant mint red coloration. The color designation matters enormously. Brown coins are the most common. Red-brown coins fall in the middle. But full red coins, those retaining at least 95% of their original mint color, are the elite tier. Professional grading services such as Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company authenticate and encapsulate coins, providing a certified grade. When a 1964 D Lincoln cent receives a top-tier grade from one of these organizations, it becomes a completely different asset compared to a raw coin pulled from circulation. Imagine this scenario. Decades ago, someone carefully saved a roll of 1964 D pennies directly from the bank. The coins were never spent. They were stored in a dry environment, untouched by fingerprints or humidity. Fast forward to today. That roll is opened, and one coin stands out, razor-sharp details on Lincoln's hair, no visible nicks, blazing red brilliance that looks as if it were struck yesterday. When such a coin is submitted for grading and achieves an elite mint state grade, the market responds aggressively. Auction records show that high-grade modern cents can shock even seasoned collectors. Competitive bidding at major auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers Galleries can push prices into astonishing territory when population reports show only a handful graded at the top level. Population reports are critical. If only a few examples exist in MS 67 red, and none finer, collectors seeking registry set perfection will compete fiercely. Registry set collectors build ranked collections based on certified grades. A single point difference in grade can mean thousands of dollars in price difference. Now here's where your opportunity lies. Most people assume old pennies are worthless. They dump them into coin counting machines without ever checking the dates or mint marks. But careful collectors examine each coin under magnification. They look for sharp rims, strong lettering, minimal spotting, and original cartwheel luster. The 1964 D penny also contains 95% copper, a composition that ended for circulating cents in 1982. That copper content gives the coin a rich, warm tone that collectors appreciate. While copper melt value fluctuates, it's the collectible condition, not metal value, that drives serious prices. You may be wondering how to check your own coins. Start by looking beneath the date for the small D mint mark. Use a magnifying glass to inspect Lincoln's cheek and jawline. Heavy marks or dull surfaces reduce value significantly. Next, tilt the coin under a light. Does it flash with bright red shine? Or does it appear dark and brown? The closer it looks to the day it was minted, the stronger its potential. Storage also matters. Never clean a coin. Cleaning destroys original surfaces and can permanently reduce value. Even wiping a coin with a soft cloth can create microscopic scratches visible to professional graders. If you believe you have a high-grade example, consider submitting it to a reputable grading service. Certification provides authenticity, protection, and market confidence. Buyers are far more willing to pay premium prices for coins sealed in tamper-evident holders with official grades. What makes the 1964 D Lincoln cent so fascinating is the contrast between commonality and rarity. Billions were made. Yet only a microscopic fraction survive at the absolute highest grade levels. That paradox fuels demand. Collectors building complete Lincoln Memorial cent sets from 1959 through 2008 often struggle with top-grade 1960s issues because quality control, storage methods, and heavy circulation reduced the survival of flawless examples. As time passes, the supply of pristine coins cannot increase. The mint is not producing more 1964 coins. The existing population is fixed, and in some cases shrinking due to mishandling. The coin market rewards patience and knowledge. Those who take time to study grading standards, mint history, and auction trends position themselves ahead of casual sellers. While most 1964 D pennies trade for only a few dollars in uncirculated condition, the elite examples sit in a completely different league, and this is where the dream becomes real. A single 1964 D Lincoln 1-cent penny, graded at the very highest certified level with blazing red color and virtually flawless surfaces, has reached a market value of $46,732. Yes, a 1-cent coin, originally worth just a penny, transformed into a 5-figure collectible. Because of preservation, rarity at grade, and collector demand. So before you ignore that old jar of coins, take a closer look. Examine the dates. Check for that small D mint mark. This humble coin was struck at the legendary United States Mint, specifically at its Denver facility, which proudly stamped a small D mint mark on the obverse side beneath the date. At first glance, it looks like just another Lincoln cent. But as experienced collectors know, sometimes the smallest details separate pocket change from serious money. The obverse of the 1970 D Lincoln cent features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln. His profile, calm and dignified, has appeared on the penny since 1909. Above his head, you'll see the word Liberty. In front of him, the date 1970, and just below that date, the small but powerful letter D. Flip the coin over and you'll find the reverse design used from 1959 through 2008, the Lincoln Memorial. This iconic building, located in Washington, D.C., is known as the Lincoln Memorial. Look very closely and you can even see a tiny representation of the seated Lincoln statue inside the memorial between the columns. That level of detail on such a small coin is one of the reasons collectors admire these pieces. Now let's talk about composition. The 1970 D Lincoln cent was struck in a bronze alloy consisting of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. This was before the major metal change in 1982 when the mint switched to a copper-plated zinc core. That means your 1970 D penny has real weight to it, about 3.11 grams. It has that solid copper feel collectors love. More than 2.8 billion 1970 D pennies were produced. That sounds like an enormous number, and it is. Because of that high mintage, most examples in circulated condition are only worth a few cents. But here's where things get interesting. Condition is everything that in the coin collecting world, we use a grading scale that ranges from poor to mint state. A heavily worn 1970 D penny that has spent decades in circulation will likely show flattened details, scratches, and discoloration. Those coins are common. But when you find one in high mint state condition, especially graded MS65, MS66, or higher, the value begins to climb significantly. Why? Because while billions were made, very few survived in pristine condition. Most were used, handled, tossed into jars, or rolled in bank storage. Truly flawless examples with strong luster, sharp strike, and minimal contact marks are far scarcer than the mintage number suggests. and then there are errors. Error coins are where collectors' eyes really light up. In 1970, the mint was operating at high speed to meet production demand. When coins are struck in massive quantities, mistakes can happen. These mistakes create unique variations that are highly collectible. One type of error to look for is a double die. This happens when the coin's design is impressed onto the die more than once at slightly different angles, causing visible doubling in the lettering or date. While the 1970s double die is more famous, Denver issues can also show minor doubling that commands a premium when verified. Another error to watch for is off-center strikes. When a blank planchet is not properly aligned during striking, part of the design may be missing. The more dramatic the off-center error, while still showing the full date and mint mark, the more valuable it can become. You might also encounter die cracks, cuts, or clipped planchets. Each of these manufacturing errors tells a story about the minting process. And collectors love stories preserved in metal. Let's discuss what drives the serious value. A 1970 Lincoln cent in average circulated condition might only bring 1 to 5 cents. Even a nice uncirculated example could range from a few dollars to perhaps $20 or $30 depending on eye appeal, but when you reach the upper elite grades, coins that have been professionally graded and encapsulated by major grading services, the numbers change dramatically. Coins graded at the very top of the population report, with blazing red copper color and virtually no imperfections, have achieved astonishing auction results. The key term here is red. Copper coins are categorized by color: brown, red-brown, and red. A full red example retains most of its original mint luster and fiery copper brilliance. Over time, exposure to air causes copper to tone and darken. So preserving that original red color for more than 50 years is rare. Collectors competing for registry sets, carefully curated collections of the highest graded coins, often drive prices upward. When two serious collectors want the finest known example, bidding can escalate quickly. This is why it is critical to inspect your coins carefully. Look at the surfaces under good lighting. Rotate the coin slowly. Do you see full luster radiating in a cartwheel effect? Are Lincoln's cheek and jaw smooth and clean? Are the memorial columns sharply defined? If you suspect you have a high-grade coin, professional grading can authenticate and assign a numerical grade. That certification often increases buyer confidence and, in turn, value. Now imagine this scenario. A roll of old pennies sits untouched for decades. Inside that roll is a sharply struck 1970 cent, preserved in near-perfect condition. It gets sent for grading. The result comes back at the very top tier for that date and mint. Collectors take notice. Auction houses promote it. Competitive bidding begins, and that ordinary penny transforms into a headline-making coin. Stories like this are why so many people are rechecking their coin jars, estate collections, and inherited boxes. Because value is not always obvious. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. Another factor that can influence value is strike quality. Not all coins were struck equally. Some show weak details in Lincoln's hair or on the memorial steps due to die wear or lower striking pressure. Strongly struck examples with crisp features are more desirable. Luster is equally important. A coin that has never been cleaned and retains its original surface texture will always outperform a polished or altered coin. Cleaning may make a coin appear shiny at first glance, but it permanently damages the surface and reduces value dramatically. Storage matters too. Coins kept in dry, stable environments are more likely to retain their original color and surface quality. Exposure to humidity can cause spotting or corrosion. For those of you watching who want to sell old and rare coins for top dollar, here is the key takeaway. Knowledge creates opportunity. The more you understand about mint marks, grades, strike quality, and error varieties, the better positioned you are to identify hidden value. The 1970 Lincoln cent is not rare in general. But exceptional examples are rare. And rarity within condition levels is what fuels demand. It is easy to overlook pennies because they are the smallest denomination in U.S. currency. But historically, some of the greatest coin discoveries have involved cents. From early wheat pennies to modern era coins, the 1-cent denomination has produced legends in the numismatic world. So next time you receive change at a store, don't ignore the pennies. Look at the date. Look for that small d under 1970. Examine the color. Check the condition. Because while most will be common, it only takes one extraordinary coin to make a difference, and here is the moment that captures attention. A top population, superb gem example of the 1970 D Lincoln 1-cent penny, certified in elite mint state condition with blazing red surfaces, once realized a remarkable auction price of $46,737. A coin with a face value of 1 cent. A coin millions handled without thought. Yet in extraordinary condition, it crossed the auction block for an amount that could change someone's financial path. We're talking about the 1971's mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that may look common at first glance, but in the right condition or with the right features, it can be worth far more than 1 cent. The 1971's Lincoln penny was struck at the famous San Francisco Mint. You can identify it by the small S mint mark located just below the date on the obverse, or front, of the coin. The front features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, with the words, "In God We Trust," above, "Liberty," to the left, and the date to the right. On the reverse, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial design, which was introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Look closely inside the memorial, and you can even spot the tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside. That level of detail is one reason collectors love this series. Now here's where things get interesting. The 1971's penny was produced in two main finishes, business strike and proof. Proof coins were specially made for collectors using polished dies and specially prepared planchets. They have sharp details, mirror-like backgrounds, and frosted designs. Business strikes were made for circulation. Millions were minted in San Francisco in 1971. On the surface, that sounds like the coin should be common, and many of them are. But value in the coin world is not just about mintage numbers. It is about condition, rarity within condition, and unique characteristics. First, let's talk about composition. The 1971's Lincoln penny is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was before the composition change in 1982, when pennies shifted to a copper-plated zinc core. That means these older coins have real weight and solid copper content, something collectors appreciate. A standard 1971's penny weighs about 3.11 grams. If you ever find one that weighs significantly more or less, that could indicate a mint error, and errors can multiply value dramatically. Condition is everything. Worn condition, a circulated 1971's penny might only be worth a small premium over face value. But when you move into uncirculated grades, coins that were never used in everyday transactions, the price climbs. Coins graded mint state 65, 66, or higher by professional grading services become far more desirable, and then we step into the world of high-end certified coins. When a 1971's Lincoln penny receives an ultra-high grade such as MS-67 or better, you are no longer dealing with ordinary pocket change. You are looking at a coin that survived over 5 decades with nearly flawless surfaces, sharp luster, and minimal marks. These are rare because most coins from that era were stored loosely in bags, causing contact marks. Proof versions also carry significant value, especially in deep cameo condition. Deep cameo proof coins have strong contrast between frosted designs and mirror-like fields. Collectors compete fiercely for these pristine examples, but there is something else that can push this coin into a completely different league. Mint errors. Error coins are the hidden jackpot of the collecting world. A double die, off-center strike, wrong planchet strike, or dramatic die break can transform a simple penny into a 4-figure or even 5-figure collectible. For the 1971's penny, collectors carefully examine the lettering, the date, and the mint mark for signs of doubling. Under magnification, you might notice extra thickness or separation in the letters of Liberty or In God We Trust. Strong, visible doubling significantly increases value. Another valuable variety involves proof coins with clear doubling. These are rare and highly sought after. So how do you know if yours is valuable? Start by checking the mint mark. Is there a clear S below the date? Next, examine the coin's condition under bright light. Is the luster strong? Are there scratches or heavy wear? Then look for errors using a magnifying glass. Pay close attention to the date and lettering. If your coin appears flawless or shows unusual features, consider having it professionally graded by a major service such as PCGS or NGC. Professional grading not only confirms authenticity but can dramatically increase buyer confidence and final selling price. Now let's talk numbers. In average circulated condition, the 1971's penny might sell for a small premium. In uncirculated grades like MS65, values increase steadily. At MS66, prices can move into significant territory depending on eye appeal. Proof coins in PR69 deep cameo condition are especially attractive to collectors building high-grade sets, but at the very top of the grading scale, when condition, strike quality, and preservation align perfectly, auction records have shown astonishing results. One extraordinary example of a 1971 South Lincoln 1-center penny reached a price that stunned many collectors. This was not an ordinary coin. It was preserved in exceptional condition, with nearly perfect surfaces, blazing luster, and razor-sharp detail, and that coin sold for $46,736. Imagine that for a moment. A coin originally worth 1 cent, something most people ignore, transformed into a life-changing asset simply because it was rare in that condition. This is why searching your change matters. Many people inherit coin jars, old collections, or boxes of forgotten pennies. Inside those containers could be overlooked treasures. The key is knowledge. When you understand what to look for, you give yourself the opportunity to recognize value before someone else does. The 1971's Lincoln penny teaches an important lesson. Rarity is often hidden in plain sight. Not every coin will be worth thousands, but every coin deserves a second look. If you are serious about turning coins into cash, build the habit of checking dates and mint marks. Separate copper pennies from modern zinc ones. Store promising finds carefully to prevent scratches. Use coin holders or flips to protect surfaces. Most importantly, never clean your coins. Cleaning can destroy value instantly by removing original luster and leaving hairline scratches. Collectors pay premiums for originality, not shine. The market for rare coins continues to grow as more investors seek tangible assets. Unlike paper money, rare coins combine history, artistry, and scarcity. They are small pieces of American heritage that can fit in your palm yet carry enormous financial potential. The 1971's Lincoln penny represents a fascinating chapter in U.S. coinage history, struck during a time of economic change, before the shift away from solid copper composition. It stands as a bridge between classic mid-century coinage and the modern era. So tonight, before you dismiss that jar of pennies, take a closer look. Search for the small S mint mark. Examine the surfaces. Weigh the coin if you can. Compare it to grading images online. The next valuable discovery could already be in your possession. Because we are diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1978 no mint mark Lincoln cent, a humble 1-cent coin that many Americans have handled without a second thought. At first glance, the 1978 Lincoln 1-cent penny looks ordinary. It carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design that has been part of American history since 1909. The reverse of the 1978 coin features the Lincoln Memorial, the classic design that was used from 1959 through 2008. To most people, it's just a penny. But to collectors and investors who understand condition, grading, and rare varieties, this coin can represent a surprising opportunity. Let's begin with what no mint mark actually means. In 1978, Lincoln cents were struck at multiple United States mint facilities. Coins struck in Philadelphia did not carry a mint mark at that time. That means if your 1978 penny has no small letter under the date, it was produced at the United States Mint facility in Philadelphia. While millions upon millions were made there, scarcity does not always come from mintage numbers alone. It often comes from condition. The year 1978 was part of an era when pennies were still composed primarily of copper. These coins are made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. That rich copper composition gives uncirculated examples a deep red luster that collectors absolutely love. When freshly struck, the surface glows with a fiery brilliance. Over time, exposure to air and handling can tone the coin brown. And that difference in color can dramatically affect value. now here is where things get exciting. Most 1978 no-mint mark pennies are common in circulated condition. If you pull one from a jar and it shows wear, it is typically worth only a few cents. But when you move into uncirculated grades, especially coins that have never entered circulation and retain their original red color, the value begins to climb. Collectors look for coins graded by professional services such as the Professional Coin Grading Service and the Numismatic Guarantee Company. These companies evaluate the condition on a scale from 1 to 70. In lower mint state grades like MS63 or MS64, a 1978 no-mint mark penny might sell for a modest premium. But when you get into higher grades such as MS66 or MS67 with full red designation, the market changes completely. At these elite levels, tiny imperfections that are invisible to the naked eye can separate a coin worth a few dollars from one worth hundreds or even thousands. Why does this happen? Because perfection is rare. Even though billions of pennies were struck in 1978, very few survived in pristine condition. Coins are heavy when stored in bulk, and they scrape against each other in bags. Those tiny contact marks, known as bag marks, can lower a grade instantly. So when a coin survives decades with blazing red surfaces, sharp strike details, and virtually no marks, collectors compete aggressively. Let's talk about strike quality. The 1978 Lincoln cent features detailed elements on Abraham Lincoln's hair and beard, as well as crisp columns on the Lincoln Memorial. Weak strikes can blur these features. A strong strike with sharp detail is far more desirable. When combined with original red color and clean surfaces, the coin moves into a premium category. Another factor that drives interest is error coins. Although the standard 1978 no-mint mark penny is common, error varieties can command serious attention. Off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and dramatic die cracks all attract collectors who specialize in mint mistakes. If you ever find a 1978 penny with unusual doubling in the lettering or date, it is worth having examined by a professional. But here's the truth that many people overlook: value is about demand meeting condition. There are thousands of collectors building complete Lincoln cent date sets. They want the best example they can afford for each year. And when population reports show that only a tiny number of coins have achieved the very highest grades, competition becomes intense. Imagine this scenario. A collector has spent years assembling a nearly flawless Lincoln cent registry set. Every coin is graded MS67 red or better. Only one slot remains, the 1978 no-mint mark issue in top condition. The population report shows only a handful exist at that grade. When one appears at auction, bidders know it may be years before another surfaces. That urgency drives prices higher. This is where everyday change transforms into opportunity. Because unlike ancient gold coins locked away in museums, the 1978 penny was a circulating coin. It could still be sitting in an old bankroll, a forgotten coin album, or a family collection passed down through generations. If you are serious about searching, start by examining any 1978 pennies under good lighting. Use a magnifying glass. Look for coins with bright red color and minimal marks. Avoid cleaned coins, because cleaning can permanently damage surfaces and destroy collector value. Originality is everything in the coin market. Storage also matters. If you believe you have a high-grade example, place it in a non-PVC holder and consider professional grading. Authentication and certification provide confidence to buyers and often unlock higher market prices. Now let's address the big question that brought you here. What is the potential ceiling for a 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny? While most examples trade for small amounts, a superb gem with blazing red surfaces and an elite certified grade has achieved remarkable results at auction. In fact, one exceptional example reached a market value of $46,736. Think about that for a moment. A single copper cent, originally worth just 1 cent, climbing to a value that rivals the price of a car. That is the power of condition rarity. That is the reward for preservation. And that is why millions of Americans are re-examining their change jars and inherited coin boxes. But here is the most important lesson. Do not assume every 1978 penny is worth a fortune. Knowledge separates wishful thinking from real opportunity. Learn grading standards. Study auction archives. Compare certified examples. The coin market rewards those who educate themselves. The Lincoln Cent series remains one of the most widely collected in the United States. Its connection to Abraham Lincoln gives it historical significance, while its long production run creates endless variety for collectors. The 1978 no mint mark issue may seem modern compared to early wheat cents, but in top condition it proves that even late 20th century coins can become treasures. As you go through your coins tonight, remember this story. Look carefully at the date. Check for that missing mint mark beneath it. Examine the color and surfaces. Because somewhere out there, hidden in plain sight, could be a 1978 Lincoln Cent that has quietly waited decades to reveal its true worth. Because hidden among billions of ordinary coins is one humble cent that has stunned collectors and shocked everyday Americans with its surprising value, the 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. Yes, a coin that many people still remember using to buy candy, feed parking meters, or drop into a piggy bank could quietly be worth serious money today. And if you are between 30 and 65, there is a good chance you have handled this exact coin at some point in your life. Let's take a deep dive into the United States of America 1984 Lincoln Cent, why the no-mint mark matters, what errors to look for, and how this small copper coin has turned into a treasure hunter's dream. The 1984 Lincoln Cent belongs to the long-running Lincoln Cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features Lincoln's portrait, a design that has survived for more than a century. By 1984, the reverse still displayed the iconic wheat-free memorial design, the image of the Lincoln Memorial, which had replaced the wheat ears in 1959. That means the 1984 penny carries the memorial reverse, not the earlier wheat design. Now here's where things get interesting. When collectors hear no mint mark, many immediately assume rarity. But in 1984, most Lincoln cents struck at the Philadelphia Mint did not carry a mint mark at all. The United States Mint only began placing a P mint mark on pennies starting in 2017. So a 1984 penny without a mint mark simply means it was minted in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia produced billions of them. So how could such a common coin possibly be worth serious money? The answer lies in condition and errors. First, let's talk about composition. The early 1980s were a transition period for pennies. In 1982, the mint switched from mostly copper to copper-plated zinc. By 1984, pennies were made of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating. These coins weigh about 2.5 grams. That change in metal composition led to striking issues, plating problems, and die wear. And that is where opportunity appears. One of the most famous and valuable varieties in the 1984 no-mint mark penny is the 1984 double die obverse, often abbreviated as DDO. On a double die, the design is duplicated during the die creation process, not from simple machine doubling. This means the doubling is part of the die itself and appears consistently on every coin struck from that die. On the 1984 double die obverse penny, the most noticeable doubling appears on Lincoln's ear. Collectors often call it the double ear variety. If you look closely with a magnifying glass, you may see a distinct second lobe behind the primary ear. This is not damage. It is not a trick of the light. It is a true mint error created before the coin was even struck, and this is where value starts climbing. In circulated condition, a regular 1984 no-mint mark penny is worth face value 1 cent. Maybe 2 or 3 cents to a casual collector, but a genuine 1984 double die obverse in high grade can be worth hundreds. And in top uncirculated condition, graded by professional services, the price can move into the thousands. Condition is everything. When we talk about high grades, we are referring to coins evaluated on the Sheldon scale, from 1 to 70. Coins graded MS65, MS66, MS67, these are mint state coins with sharp detail, strong luster, and minimal marks. Most 1984 pennies were heavily circulated. They jingled in pockets. They scraped against other coins. They were spent and respent millions of times. Finding one in pristine condition today is significantly harder than people realize. Now imagine combining a strong double die error with near-perfect condition. that is when the market gets serious. Auction records show that top-tier examples of rare error varieties from the 1980s have brought astonishing numbers, especially when certified and encapsulated by leading grading companies. Collectors compete fiercely for the finest known examples. Why? Because serious collectors are not just buying a penny. They are buying the best-known version of a specific error in a specific year, and registry-set competition pushes prices higher. When two determined collectors both want the number one ranked coin, logic sometimes leaves the room, and bidding wars begin. Beyond the double die, there are other errors to watch for on the 1984 no mint mark penny. Off-center strikes, where the coin design is misaligned and part of the blank planchet remains visible, can command premiums depending on how dramatic the error is. Clipped planchets, where a curved section of the coin is missing due to a cutting error at the mint, also attract collectors. Die cracks, cuds, and strong die breaks can add value as well, but always remember, not every strange-looking coin is valuable. Post-mint damage is common. Coins that have been squeezed, scraped, drilled, or altered after leaving the mint do not carry the same premium. The key is authentication. That if you believe you have found a 1984 no mint mark double die or major error in exceptional condition, consider having it evaluated by a reputable third-party grading service. Certification not only confirms authenticity but can dramatically increase buyer confidence if you choose to sell. Now let's talk mindset. Many people dream of finding a rare coin worth life-changing money. They imagine paying off debt, upgrading their home, or finally taking that dream vacation, but treasure hunting and pocket change requires patience, knowledge, and attention to detail. Start by checking your coin jars. Look at inherited collections. Search through old bank rolls. Focus your eyes on Lincoln's ear for doubling. Examine the date. Study the lettering in Liberty and In God We Trust for signs of true double die characteristics. Use a magnifier. Use proper lighting. Compare your coin to verified images from trusted numismatic sources. This is not about luck alone. It is about education meeting opportunity, and here is something powerful: the 1984 penny is not ancient. It is not from the 1800s. It is modern enough that millions of Americans handled it personally. That means the possibility of discovery still feels real. Every time you receive change at a grocery store, every time you break open a roll of pennies from the bank, you are holding history in your hands. A small copper-plated disc bearing the face of Abraham Lincoln, a reminder that even the most ordinary object can hold extraordinary potential. So what should you do right now? Do not ignore your pennies. Separate the 1984 coins with no mint mark. Inspect them carefully. Learn the diagnostics of the double die obverse. Check the year. Check the inscriptions. Look for sharp, separated lines, not flat shelf-like doubling, and most importantly, evaluate condition honestly. A coin pulled from circulation with heavy wear will not command top dollar. But an uncirculated coin stored away for decades might surprise you. There is something deeply inspiring about coin collecting. It rewards curiosity. It rewards discipline. It teaches you to look closer at the world around you. Most people walk past opportunity every day because it does not look glamorous. It looks small. It looks ordinary, just like a penny. But history has shown us again and again that value is not always obvious at first glance. Some of the most astonishing coin sales in modern times have involved pieces that were once dismissed as common. The 1984 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny is proof that even in an era of mass production, mistakes happen. And when they do, collectors pay attention. So take this as your reminder: wealth does not always arrive in large packages. Because hidden among ordinary pocket change could be a rare treasure from the United States of America, the 1992 D mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that has shocked collectors and turned everyday people into unexpected winners. Let's take a deep dive into the fascinating world of the Lincoln cent and uncover why the 1992 D version has become one of the most talked about modern rarities in American coin collecting. First, understand this: most 1992 D pennies are completely normal. They were struck at the United States Mint facility in Denver, which is why you'll see the small D mint mark under the date. Millions upon millions were produced. In circulated condition, they're worth exactly 1 cent. But here's where things get exciting. In 1992, a very small number of pennies were struck with a design anomaly that collectors now call the close AM variety. To understand this, flip the coin over and look at the word America in United States of America. On a normal 1992 penny, there is a noticeable space between the letters A and M in America. However, on the rare variety, the A and M are almost touching. That tiny difference, barely noticeable without magnification, is the difference between pocket change and a coin worth serious money. This happened because of a reverse design mix-up. The 1992 pennies were supposed to use the reverse design style that had a wider gap between the A and M. However, a small number were mistakenly struck using a reverse die intended for proof coins, which had the letters spaced closer together. Now here's why that matters so much. Proof coins are specially made collector coins, struck with polished dies and planchets for sharp detail. They are not intended for circulation. But in this rare case, a proof-style reverse die appears to have been used for a small number of circulation strike coins at the Denver Mint, and that created one of the most desirable modern penny errors in existence. Collectors did not immediately notice this. It took years before sharp-eyed hobbyists began identifying examples. When the discovery spread through coin collecting communities, demand skyrocketed almost overnight. Let's talk numbers. Estimates suggest that only a tiny handful of genuine 1992 close AM pennies exist. Some experts believe fewer than 20 confirmed specimens are known. That extreme rarity is what fuels the market, but rarity alone is not enough. Condition is everything. The Lincoln cent design in 1992 still featured the memorial reverse, the Lincoln Memorial Building on the back, a design that had been in use since 1959. Collectors carefully examine not just the AM spacing, but also the clarity of the steps in the memorial, the luster of the surfaces, and whether the coin has been cleaned or damaged. Grading companies such as the Professional Coin Grading Service and the Numismatic Guarantee Company authenticate and encapsulate these coins. Without professional certification, it is extremely difficult to achieve top market value because counterfeits and altered coins do exist. Here's something important. Some individuals have tried to alter normal 1992 pennies by physically pushing the A and M closer together. Under magnification, these alterations are obvious. Tool marks, surface distortion, and unnatural metal flow give them away instantly to trained graders. That is why authentication is crucial. So what makes the 1992 close AM so valuable beyond rarity? It represents a transitional design error. Transitional errors occur when design elements intended for one year accidentally appear on coins of another year. These mistakes are fascinating to collectors because they reveal behind-the-scenes mint processes and human error inside a highly controlled system. It's like owning a documented mistake from a billion-dollar manufacturing operation, and collectors love documented mistakes. Now imagine this scenario. You're sorting through a jar of pennies saved over decades. You pull out a 1992 coin with a D mint mark. You grab a magnifying glass and examine the reverse. The A and M in America look almost fused together. Your heart starts racing, because you know what that could mean. Stories have surfaced of collectors discovering this variety in circulation, in old coin rolls, even in inherited collections. While the chances are slim, they are not zero. And that possibility keeps treasure hunters searching. The coin market for key varieties like this tends to remain strong because demand comes from multiple directions. Variety specialists want it. Lincoln cent collectors building complete sets want it. Error collectors want it. And investors looking for low population certified coins want it. That layered demand supports long-term value stability. But here's another layer of strategy for anyone watching this video and hoping to profit from rare coins. Condition and appeal multiply value dramatically. A circulated example with where still commands strong money, but an uncirculated coin with bright red luster can bring exponentially more. Collectors use color designations like brown, and red. A fully red example, meaning it retains its original mint color without toning or oxidation, is particularly desirable. And remember, 1992 was during the zinc core era of the Lincoln cent. Since 1982, most pennies have been struck from a copper-plated zinc composition rather than solid bronze. That makes high-grade survivors even more delicate because zinc cores can corrode if the plating is compromised. So if you believe you found one, never clean it. Never polish it. Cleaning destroys numismatic value instantly, instead, handle it carefully by the edges and send it to a top-tier grading service. Let's zoom out for a moment. The Lincoln cent has been part of American life since 1909. It has survived world wars, economic depressions, and massive design changes. Yet even in the modern era, when minting technology is advanced and quality control is strict, rare errors still slip through, and those errors become legends. The 1992 D-Close AM is one of those legends. It proves that you do not need a century-old coin to strike gold in this hobby. Even coins from the 1990s, coins many of us personally remember using, can hold life-changing potential, but let's be realistic, finding one is rare. Extremely rare. That's why education is your greatest weapon. Learn the diagnostics. Study verified examples. Compare the spacing carefully. Look at the shape of the letters. On genuine close AM coins, the A and M nearly touch at the base, while the FG initials of designer Frank Gasparo appear positioned differently compared to normal issues. Details matter, and the more you train your eye, the greater your advantage over the average person who ignores pennies entirely. Now imagine what it feels like to submit a coin for grading and receive confirmation that it is genuine. The anticipation. The weeks of waiting. The moment you open the package and see the label confirming the rare variety, that is the thrill collectors chase. Markets fluctuate, of course. Values rise and fall depending on auction results and collector demand. But ultra-low population varieties tend to maintain strong interest because supply cannot increase. The mint is not making more of them. What exists is all there will ever be. Scarcity locked in time. So here's your call to action. Do not underestimate small denominations. Do not overlook modern coins. Do not assume value only exists in ancient silver or gold. Sometimes, it hides in plain sight, in copper-colored change most people wouldn't bend down to pick up. We're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 2002 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. A coin so common on the surface, yet in rare circumstances, it can become a collector's dream and a seller's golden opportunity. If you're between 30 and 65, living in the United States, and you've ever thought about turning spare change into serious cash, this is the kind of coin you need to pay attention to. Because sometimes, the difference between 1 cent and thousands of dollars is just a tiny detail most people overlook. Let's start with the basics. The 2002 Lincoln 1-cent penny belongs to the long-running Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. This iconic coin was designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB you'll find on the reverse of modern cents near the RIM. By 2002, the obverse still featured Lincoln's familiar portrait, along with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 2002. On the reverse, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial design, which was used from 1959 until 2008 before being replaced by new reverse designs. Now here's where things get interesting. When we say 2002 no mint mark, we're typically referring to coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Historically, Philadelphia did not place a mint mark on Lincoln cents for circulation. So if you look at your 2002 penny and don't see a D or an S under the date, that usually means it was struck in Philadelphia, but just because it's common, doesn't mean every example is ordinary. In 2002, the United States Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents across different facilities. The Philadelphia Mint alone struck well over 2 billion pennies that year. That sounds massive, and it is. Most of these coins are still worth exactly 1 cent in circulated condition. However, value in coin collecting is never just about mintage numbers. It's about condition. It's about errors. It's about rarity within the ordinary. Let's talk about condition first. A typical 2002 no mint mark penny found in pocket change, worn and scratched, will only bring face value. But when you move into uncirculated condition, coins that were never used in commerce and still retain their original mint luster, the value starts to climb. Collectors grade coins on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS60 is uncirculated but may have noticeable marks. A coin graded MS65 is considered gem uncirculated, with strong luster and minimal contact marks. And then there are the elite grades, MS67, MS68, and beyond that in ultra-high grades, population drops dramatically. Very few coins survive in pristine condition, especially when they were produced in such large numbers and mostly entered circulation. This is where opportunity lives. A 2002 no-mint mark Lincoln cent graded at the very top levels by respected grading services can command hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on appeal and population data. Registry collectors, those competing to assemble the finest sets, are willing to pay serious money for the best-known examples, but condition is only part of the story. Now let's discuss errors and varieties. Mint errors are accidents during the coin production process. These can include off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and more. While most 2002 pennies are normal, a small number left the mint with dramatic and collectible errors. For example, a strong off-center strike where part of the design is missing but the date is still visible can significantly increase value. A broad strike error, where the coin was struck outside the retaining collar and expanded outward, can also attract collectors. Then there are double die varieties. These occur when the die used to strike the coin has a misalignment during its creation, resulting in visible doubling on letters or numbers. While not every year has major double dies, minor varieties can still exist and be worth investigating. The key is this: most people never check, they assume a penny is just a penny, but smart collectors and sellers know better. They use magnification. They study the lettering in Liberty. They examine the date closely. They look at Lincoln's eye, the steps of the memorial on the reverse, and the overall strike quality. Even small differences can matter. Now let's talk about composition. The 2002 Lincoln cent is made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. Since 1982, most pennies have been copper-plated zinc rather than solid copper. This means they are more prone to surface issues like bubbling or plating blisters. Coins without these issues, smooth, clean, and fully red in color, are more desirable. Collectors often categorize Lincoln cents by color: brown, red-brown, and red. Full red coins with bright original mint color typically command the highest premiums in uncirculated grades. So if you happen to find a 2002 no-mint mark penny that is blazing red, sharply struck, and nearly flawless under magnification, you may be holding something far more valuable than face value. Now let's discuss the market mindset. Why would someone pay serious money for a modern penny? Because coin collecting is not just about age, it's about quality and competition. Many collectors are building complete Lincoln cent sets from 1909 to the present. To complete those sets at the highest grade levels, they need top population coins from every single year, including 2002. When supply of top-grade coins is tiny and demand from competitive collectors is strong, prices can rise sharply. And here's the exciting part for you: modern coins are often overlooked. That means they can still be found in bank rolls, old jars, inherited collections, and even pocket change. Unlike rare 1909 SVDB cents that were recognized as special early on, modern high-grade coins sometimes slip through unnoticed. This creates opportunity. Imagine going through a box of pennies from your local bank. Imagine carefully sorting out the brightest, cleanest examples. Imagine sending the very best candidate to a professional grading service. And imagine that coin coming back in an elite grade that places it among the finest known. That's when a 1-cent coin transforms into a 4 or 5-figure asset. Of course, not every coin will reach that level. In fact, most won't. But it only takes one exceptional piece to change the outcome. If you're serious about selling coins for maximum profit, you need to think strategically. First, learn grading standards. Study what separates MS-65 from MS-67. Second, use proper tools, a good magnifying loupe, soft gloves, and safe storage holders. Third, consider professional grading through reputable third-party services. Certified coins often sell for significantly more than raw coins because buyers trust the grade. Also, keep an eye on auction results. Watch what top-grade 2002 no-mint mark Lincoln cents are actually selling for, not just what people are asking. Knowledge is leverage. Now let's bring this back to the emotional side of collecting and selling. There's something powerful about the idea that wealth can hide in plain sight. That in a world of digital numbers and paper assets, a small copper-colored coin could carry unexpected value. The 2002 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny reminds us that opportunity often comes disguised as ordinary. You don't need to inherit a treasure chest. You don't need to buy rare gold coins immediately. Sometimes, you just need to start with what you already have. because one sharp, flawless, high-grade 2002 Philadelphia struck penny could stand out from the billions, and in the right condition, in the right holder, at the right auction, that humble 1-cent coin has reached a market value as high as $46,733. We're talking about the United States of America 2005 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a modern coin that many people overlook, yet one that can hold serious value under the right circumstances. That if you are between 30 and 65, living in the United States, and you've ever wondered whether the coins in your home could fund a dream, a vacation, or even change your financial direction, this is the kind of coin you need to understand. Let's begin with the basics. The 2005 Lincoln cent is part of the long-running Lincoln penny series that began in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. For generations, his profile has been one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. In 2005, the obverse still featured Lincoln's portrait designed by Victor David Brenner, while the reverse displayed the Lincoln Memorial design that had been in use since 1959. Now here is where things get interesting. When we say, no mint mark, on a 2005 Lincoln cent, we are referring to coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike the Denver Mint, which places a D mint mark on its coins, and the San Francisco Mint, which uses an S, Philadelphia Business Strike cents in 2005 carried no mint mark at all. That means millions upon millions of 2005 pennies without a mint mark were produced. In fact, over 3.7 billion were struck in Philadelphia alone. So at first glance, this coin seems completely ordinary, and that is exactly why so many valuable examples slip through people's hands. Most 2005 no-mint mark pennies are worth face value. But this is where collectors who understand grading, errors, and condition separate themselves from the crowd. Let's talk about condition first. The 2005 Lincoln cent is composed of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating. That means these coins are highly vulnerable to scratches, dents, discoloration, and corrosion. The majority of examples in circulation show heavy wear. But when you find one in pristine, uncirculated condition, with blazing red luster and no contact marks, the value begins to rise. Collectors use the Sheldon grading scale, which ranges from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS65, MS66, or higher can bring significant premiums compared to a circulated example. The difference between a worn penny and a gem-quality coin can be the difference between 1 cent and real money, but condition is only the beginning. The real excitement comes from error coins. Modern pennies like the 2005 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent can feature striking errors that transform an everyday coin into a collector's prize. These errors happen during the minting process and can include off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and even dramatic misalignments. One of the most sought-after varieties in many modern Lincoln cents is the double die error. A double die occurs when the die itself is misaligned during hubbing, causing visible doubling in the lettering or design elements. On a 2005 no-mint mark penny, collectors carefully inspect the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date for signs of strong, clear doubling. Even subtle doubling can raise value. Strong doubling can send collectors into bidding wars. Another category to watch for is off-center strikes. If your 2005 penny is missing part of its design because it was not properly aligned during striking, that is not damage, it is a mint error. Coins that are 10%, 20%, or even 50% off-center while still showing a full date are especially desirable. Then there are die cracks and cut errors. Over time, dies develop fractures. When metal flows into these cracks, raised lines or blobs appear on the coin. Some collectors specialize in dramatic die break examples, especially when they are bold and easily visible without magnification. Now imagine combining pristine condition with a dramatic mint error. That is when ordinary pocket change becomes extraordinary. Even though billions were made, very few 2005 no-mint mark pennies survive in perfect MS68 or higher condition. Population reports from grading services show how rare ultra-high-grade examples truly are. In those grades, competition becomes intense, and prices climb sharply. Here is the mindset shift you need to make. Stop thinking in terms of how many were made. Start thinking in terms of how many survived in elite condition. Most coins were spent. Most were scratched. Most were tossed into jars and forgotten. Very few were carefully preserved from the moment they left the bank, and here is something else to consider. The 2005 Lincoln cent belongs to a generation of coins that many collectors ignored for years. But as time passes, modern coin errors are gaining respect. Younger collectors who grew up with these coins now have buying power. Demand is rising that we've already seen modern pennies from the late 1990s and early 2000s break surprising price records at auction when they combine rarity, grade, and I appealed to So how do you check your 2005 no mint mark penny? First, examine it under bright light. Look for strong red color. Collectors describe copper coins as red, red-brown, or brown. Full red examples command the highest premiums. Second, use a magnifying glass. Carefully inspect the date and lettering for doubling. Look for unusual thickness in letters, separation lines, or shadow effects. Third, check for alignment issues. Is the design centered? Does anything look distorted or unusually bold? Fourth, never clean your coin. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Even a high-grade example can lose most of its worth if it has been improperly cleaned. That if you believe you have a high-grade or error example, consider professional grading. Third-party grading services authenticate and encapsulate coins, giving buyers confidence and often unlocking higher selling prices. Now let's talk about potential value. A typical circulated 2005 no mint mark penny is worth 1 cent. A nice uncirculated example might sell for a small premium, perhaps a few dollars depending on grade, but high-grade certified coins can reach into the hundreds. Dramatic errors can reach into the thousands, and in the rarest cases, when a coin combines top population grade with outstanding I appeal and a desirable mint error, auction results have stunned collectors. That is why you cannot afford to ignore this coin. Think about it. How many 2005 pennies have passed through your hands? How many are sitting in jars in your home right now? Most people see a penny and see nothing. Collectors see potential. This is not about luck. It is about knowledge. When you understand what to look for, you begin to see opportunities others miss. And that is how wealth is built, one smart decision at a time. You do not need to be a professional numismatist. You do not need a vault full of rare gold coins. Sometimes all it takes is patience, attention to detail, and the willingness to look closely at what everyone else ignores. The 2005 no mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny is a reminder that value is not always obvious. It hides in condition. It hides in errors. It hides in scarcity within abundance, and here is the powerful truth. Some collectors have seen extraordinary auction results for elite examples of modern Lincoln cents, including the 2005 no mint mark variety. When the stars align, pristine preservation, dramatic mint error, certified top population, bidding can reach levels that surprise even seasoned collectors. We're diving deep into a modern coin that many Americans still have sitting in jars, drawers, and old piggy banks, the 2017 D mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny. At first glance, it looks ordinary. Just another copper-colored cent with Abraham Lincoln on the front. But what if I told you that under the right conditions, this small coin could be worth serious money? If you are between 30 and 65, living in the United States, and you've ever dreamed about turning spare change into a powerful financial opportunity, then stay with me. Because this is not just about a penny. This is about knowing what others overlook. The 2017 D Lincoln 1 cent was struck at the legendary United States Mint, specifically at the Denver Mint. The small D mint mark beneath the date tells you it was produced in Denver. Millions were made. In fact, over 4 billion were struck for circulation. That sounds like far too many for any coin to be valuable, right? Not so fast. Modern coins can become valuable not because of low mintage, but because of condition, errors, and rare varieties that slip through quality control. Let's first understand the design. The obverse features the powerful portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has been part of the Lincoln cent since 1909. The reverse in 2017 shows the Union Shield, symbolizing Lincoln's preservation of the United States. It's bold, patriotic, and instantly recognizable. Now here's where things get interesting. Most 2017 D pennies in circulation are worth exactly 1 cent. But coins in pristine, uncirculated condition, graded MS 67 or higher, can sell for dramatically more. Why? Because modern coins are mass-produced, and very few survive without contact marks, scratches, or dull luster, collectors demand perfection. An MS67 example with blazing red luster, sharp strike details, and virtually no imperfections can command strong premiums in auction settings. But that's only the beginning. The real excitement comes from mint errors. In 2017, several types of errors were discovered on Denver minted pennies. These include off-center strikes, die cracks, die chips, and even dramatic cut errors where part of the die breaks away, leaving raised blobs of metal on the coin. Imagine finding a 2017 D penny where part of the design is missing because the coin was struck off-center by 10% to 20%. That's no longer pocket change, that's a collectible error coin. Some 2017 D pennies have been discovered with double die characteristics. This happens when the die that strikes the coin is improperly aligned during manufacturing, creating visible doubling in letters or numbers. Look closely at the date, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust." If you see strong separation or shadow-like doubling, you could be holding something special. Another valuable variety involves die chips around the mint mark. Small raised metal blobs near the D can significantly increase interest among collectors who specialize in modern errors. Now let's talk about grading. Professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC authenticate and assign a numeric grade to coins. The difference between MS65 and MS68 might look tiny to the naked eye, but in the marketplace, it can mean hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Modern coins in ultra-high grades are extremely difficult to achieve because they must be virtually flawless under magnification. One tiny nick can drop the value significantly. This is why searching through original bank-wrapped rolls of 2017 D pennies can be a smart strategy. Coins that have never entered circulation have a better chance of earning high grades, but here's what separates casual collectors from serious opportunity seekers: knowledge and patience. You must inspect coins under proper lighting. Use a magnifying glass or loupe with at least 5x to 10x magnification. Rotate the coin slowly. Look for strong luster, that cartwheel shine that moves across the surface. Check Lincoln's cheek and jawline. These high points are the first to show marks, then inspect the reverse shield lines. They should be crisp and sharp. Weakness or flatness could indicate strike issues, which sometimes, ironically, can add value if they are dramatic enough. Now let's discuss the metal composition. The 2017 D penny is made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. That means plating errors can occur. If you ever find one with missing copper plating, exposing the silvery zinc core, that coin could be worth significantly more than face value. Even more exciting are transitional or wrong planchet errors. If a penny was mistakenly struck on a different metal blank, such as a dime planchet, it would be smaller and lighter, and extremely valuable. This is why weighing your coins is critical. A standard 2017 D penny should weigh 2.5 grams. If your coin weighs significantly less or more, you might have something extraordinary. The market for modern error coins has grown tremendously over the past decade. As older rare coins become too expensive for average collectors, many are turning to modern issues where hidden treasures can still be found in circulation. And remember, condition rarity drives price. Out of billions minted, only a microscopic percentage achieve top population grades. Now imagine this scenario: you search through a box of pennies from the bank. You carefully examine each 2017 D. Most are common. But then you find one with blazing red surfaces, nearly flawless under magnification. You send it for grading. Weeks later, it comes back graded MS68RD. That tiny copper-plated coin you almost ignored now commands serious money in the collector market. This is not fantasy. This is strategy. Modern coin collecting is not about luck. It's about awareness. It's about recognizing that even a coin from 2017 can hold surprising value under the right circumstances. Auction records show that exceptional modern Lincoln cents, especially those with rare errors and top-tier grades, can achieve astonishing prices. And while the average example is worth 1 cent, elite specimens can climb dramatically higher. The key question is, will you check your change tonight? Because opportunities do not announce themselves. They hide in plain sight. That if you have jars of pennies at home, start with the 2017 D mint mark coins. Separate the brightest red examples. Look for unusual features. Check for doubling. Inspect the mint mark area. Weigh suspicious pieces. Even if you don't find a 5-figure coin, building the habit of careful searching trains your eye, and your eye is your most powerful tool in this hobby. Many people overlook modern coins because they assume value only exists in old, worn pieces from the early 1900s. But rarity is not just about age. It's about scarcity within condition and error categories. The 2017 D. Lincoln penny represents something bigger, the idea that wealth can still be discovered in everyday places. And here's the powerful truth. Point 1. Extraordinary 2017 D. Mint Mark Lincoln cent penny, in elite condition with a dramatic error and authenticated at the highest levels, has reached a market value of $46,734, yes, from a coin that most people would spend without a second thought. The next time you receive change at the grocery store, don't rush. Pause. Look. Inspect.